The castle of Rivia now loomed before the Lyrians. Water surrounded it on 3 sides, and dual defensive walls studded with podgy turrets completed its perimeter. It was famously difficult to take, and had changed hands only once. A few months before, when traitors opened its gates to the Nilfgaardians, foreign banners waved upon the walls. The Golden Sun and General Epdahi's crest on Rivia's walls. The walls of home. There was somber silence among the troops, the glee and pride of many triumphs suddenly gone. For each knew if the Queen ordered an assault, most would lie dead by sunrise.
Your Majesty,
Began Reynard in a reassuring tone.
we needn't strike quickly. We've time on our side. To prepare would be wise. 2 months, I wager, perfectly enough. We stop supplies from getting through. They'll capitulate, I've little doubt. Or at worst, be too weak to defend the fortress.
Reynard's reasoning was sound. There was no need for urgency. Meve had the upper hand for the first time in this war.
These invaders have grown fond of Rivia Castle,
Said Meve.
so let them stay and rot. Reynard, erect road barricades and guard posts between city and citadel. Gascon, seize all boats, barges, anything that floats. Stop anything from entering from the lake. Move!
Soon Rivia Castle stood isolated from the world outside its walls. All roads leading to it were blocked, impassable. Fishing boats, a cordon, embraced the fortress on Loch Escalot. The lanterns on their bows glowed like fireflies in summer. Then, an emissary from the castle brought a message for the Queen. General Epdahi wished to meet, face to face, and half the way between the citadel and the Lyrian camp.
Well, well, some general.
Smirked Gascon.
We've barely snapped the trap shut, yet he's already shaking in his knickers.
Meve proceeded to the meeting point without delay. A lone rider soon appeared on the horizon. He came adorned in rich black robes, their golden trim shimmering in stray sunbeams. She'd seen him before, in Edirn, through the megascope.
You came as I requested. Good. Very good.
I couldn't possibly refuse such a courteous invitation, especially as compared to your previous missive. The art of diplomacy, you've improved your grasp.
Your realm fell quickly. I expended little strength in seizing it. This left me much time to study. But please, we must set aside this bitterness. I'd like to formally welcome you to Rivia, dear Queen.
I see you've readily adopted the role of gracious host in my home.
In point of fact, I've grown fond of the castle. Fortifications impressive, atypical of the north. Not so your brave soldiers, whom we shall pick off like ducks. I pity them, in fact.
Dry your eyes, General. Rest easy. I've no plans for a quick assault. I shall first wait to hear the rumbling in your bellies.
Remarkable. You truly believe you can win this war? I've not been in the north long, but have discovered something all the same. You don't grasp complex ideas. You know Nilfgaard is large, but your minds don't fathom its enormity. You see, for every army you defeat, another will come to take its place. One larger and better equipped than the one before. Even now, as we so pleasantly chat, Army Group East is en route to lift your siege, due to arrive tomorrow. And do you know what will happen when they do? They will crush you against your own castle's walls, like the maddening flea you are.
A charming analogy, but get to the point. Why'd you ask for this meeting?
For this very reason. I wish to see you with my own eyes.
They did not see enough in Edirn? Are you such an admirer of feminine beauty?
You flatter yourself. No, in you, I see an animal. Game. Prey. And as the hunt's due to start soon, I needed a more detailed image of the beast I'll be looking for.
You? On a hunt? Those delicate hands have never held spear or bow. Nout sharper than a letter opener, I wager. Tomorrow you will not be on a hunt. Tomorrow you will be at war. You best pray to all your gods you don't find me.
Without awaiting a response from General Ep Dahi, Niamh pivoted and turned toward camp. Her pace was quick, despite a heavy heart.
Gonna be one hell of a night! Ah! Ah! Ah!
Miev's closest advisors already awaited her in the command tent. In a few brief words, the Queen gave a report of the meeting, only with great effort masking the quavering in her voice.
An army, an immense one, approaches from the west. If we meet in open battle, we stand not a chance.
Damn it! Why did no one warn me?
Our scouts were discovered, captured. It must be that.
We must flee? Not at all heroic, I admit, but sure as hell better than being trampled into the dirt.
Easily said, but for a problem. Our force is chiefly infantry. The army that draws near includes cavalry, several regiments. We cannot hope to escape them. We cannot hope to hide.
What do you advise?
We've two options. Capitulate,
Out of the question.
or take the castle. Tonight.
Suppose for a moment it's possible. Tell me how and at what cost. Are we to scale a mountain of comrades' corpses to reach the top of the wall? I know we're at war and many die. But to command our troops to take that citadel is to condemn them to certain death.
Rivia's walls are unassailable, I fully agree. But there's more than one way to take any fort, and this fort too.
I think I like where this is going.
I know this citadel like no one else. I know its one potential weakness. The boat landing.
Wait, that narrowest of piers between the two turrets? The one where the fishermen would land?
The same. As I'm sure you recall, Your Grace, at that narrow pier's end stands a narrow door leading straight into the fortress. A small detachment could approach unnoticed, overwhelm any sentries, and get inside.
What then?
They would need to pass through the fort to the winch in the guardhouse, open the gate for the rest of the force.
Reynard, I'll be honest. It sounds right mad.
Perhaps, but as options go, we have it alone.
And I'm to choose to send folk there? Most certainly to die.
You needn't choose anyone, for I volunteer, and will take only those willing to do the very same.
Bloody wretched plan.
And you've a better one, do you?
Of course. I'll go instead.
Beg your pardon? I don't.
Face it, Reynard, you couldn't sneak past a corpse. Sound like a bloody tambourine in that armour, apart from which, you're Miev's right hand. So you ought to be by her side when the fighting starts.
Gascon, the winch for the main gate, where exactly is it?
Somewhere in that general area would be my, educated guess.
Reynard?
In the left side tower, upper floor, behind a steel grate.
That settles it. Your readiness I value, Gascon, to be sure. But Reynard will lead this assault.
I thank you for placing your trust in me, Your Grace.
It is I who thank you, for all you've done. God speed you on your way, and please, don't get killed.
Reynard had little trouble finding volunteers. In fact, more troops came forth than he could possibly take. They set off in the dark toward the castle, the light of its lanterns blurred by the evening mist. Meve watched anxiously as the boats glided away, her heart pounding in her ears. All depended on this mission. The fate of her realms, perhaps all the North, the lives of her troops, and her own. Now there was naught she could do but wait.
Good luck,
She whispered, gazing at the fortress walls, cloaked by the dark that seemed to surround all now.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing. The winch! Look to the winch! Oh, Meve.
Company! Forward march!
The winch! Look to the winch! This way! To the winch! We must open the gate!
The Lyrians prepared for battle, their silence absolute, in darkness, illuminated only by the pale light of the moon. Meve was restless. She paced nervously in a circular pattern, awaiting the signal they'd agreed upon.
Blast, it's taking long. Much, much too long.
Finally, a torch's faint glow appeared atop the towering walls. It disappeared, then glowed again, and one more time around. Meve leapt in the air, and as she did so, barely stifled a cry of utter joy.
They made it. It worked.
Moments later, Lyrians in the hundreds burst from the trees. The Nilfgaardian defenders loaded their catapults and ballistae. They did so slowly, convinced the castle walls remained impenetrable. Then they heard chains, grinding and clinking, and the sound sent shivers down their spines. Bewildered, they watched the main gate rise as the attacking force rushed forth.
Ashace! Act Quan Aen Lyrian!
General Epdahi dispatched an elite unit to take back the winch at once. Yet he saw this was in vain and all was lost when Meve rode into the castle courtyard. Meve had begun the day known as a great warrior. Yet by night's end, legend was the cloak she wore. Her shield stopped powerful blow after blow as her blade found gaps in her foe's black armor. At first, Nilfgaardians scoured the fray in search of the queen, hoping to prove great heroes. Soon, she was their chief scourge, and they began to flee before her blade that sung their death.
Retroit! Retroit!
What was this extraordinary vigor that surged through Meve? Naturally, she wished to liberate her castle and realm, drive off the invaders, defeat the arrogant General Epdahi. But in that moment, above all else, she longed to fight her way through to the guardhouse and bring Reynard's party relief.
Follow me! Move! Move!
As she stepped through the door into the tower, the silence told Meve she'd arrived too late. Reynard's men lay slaughtered in pools of their own blood. The man himself sat with his back against a wall, clutching the broken spear shaft protruding from his chest. Meve tore off her cloak and pressed it against him, desperate to stem the bleeding.
Help's on the way. Please hold on. Please.
I'm sorry. Yet this one time,
Wheezed Reynard.
I can't do as you command, my queen.
Medics on the stairs in the guardhouse, steps away, heard a long, blood-curdling wail. They entered the room to find the queen kneeling, pounding the wall with her fists, her eyes flooded with tears. Reynard lay motionless beside her, covered by her cloak. The queen rose, her fists clenched, her shoulders rigid, her knuckles white. Her face betrayed no sorrow, no despair, just rage, hot as a forge, immeasurable.
Now's not the time to mourn.
Seethed Meave, struggling to stay calm.
Now's the time for war, for slaughter, revenge. With victory today, we'll recover our home, return to our kin and set our blades aside at last. Yet until victory is ours, they must drink. Drink greedily of Nilfgaardian blood!
The Lyrians were at the brink, near their breaking point. They'd followed Meave for thousands of miles, over snow-clad peaks, through forbidding swamps. They'd fought, survived countless battles at her side. And though their gazes were now weary, she knew they'd follow her into fire.
Your Grace, the Blackclads. They've holed themselves up in the upper keep. We went to breach the wall, alas to no avail.
Meave nodded, twirled her sword, then leapt upon a mount. Her eyes spoke pure determination.
So we'll bloody well try again. This is the end, Dahi. Do you hear me? I shall stick your head on a pike!
Catch!
I must thank you. Your fortress has superbly solid walls.
God! I smell a leak. Retreat! Wanna know why I got my scar?
Enough! I do not need to hear this. Kill her!
Our ballista at your command.
Fools! I'm surrounded by fools!
Left, right, left, right.
Alba!
Again and again and again.
Death is only the beginning!
Evil of us.
To the last!
You mad? Don't shake that!
Eddard Fane!
This could hurt.
Army's a waste of time for one like me.
Narin Yalden Crowfair.
Greetings. What is it?
We got a job to do.
Wait, you're serious?
Quiet, or the Commissar will hear.
Betray!
Archers, let it be night. Obscure the sun with arrows.
Off to the front yet again.
Barbarians.
My prescription, a bit of bloodshed. A highly curious case.
Where is he? Tell me where!
Nilfgaard had the upper hand, yet the black-clad spirits had suffered. They now made more use of shields than of swords. When Meve finally broke through their line, they raised their arms in surrender. Rivia Castle had fallen. It was hers once more.
Thronebreaker! Nein to win!
Meve showed her prisoners of war mercy, knowing full well they'd only followed orders. Death would be the fate of only Ardal Epdahi, the one Nilfgaardian who'd issued those commands. Alas, the general had disappeared. A prisoner revealed Epdahi had fled as soon as the Lyrians had surged towards the upper keep. He had glided down to the lower castle in a wicker basket for transporting food. Curled up beneath potato skins and other scraps, he'd scurried away not unlike a common maggot. Meve cursed her luck and leaned back against a merlin. Dawn was yet a few hours off, but the horizon had already begun to glow blood red. The Nilfgaardian reserves now drew near, too late to prevent the castle's fall.
I'll get him,
muttered the queen, more to herself than anyone else.
I swear on all that's sacred I'll catch the bastard. But now we've a pressing matter to see to. Preparing the defense.
That night the war turned, with the battle for Rivia Castle as its fulcrum. Meve's great victory, not only retaking the stronghold in a single evening, but also fending off a further invading army, proved the Nilfgaardian Colossus had feet of clay. The armies of the north had united and now seemed to be on the attack everywhere. Imperial forces, while still far more numerous, lay stretched over thousands of miles. Their position was untenable, and Nilfgaard's commanders knew this. In a decisive battle, they yet stood a chance, so they gave said battle, and suffered a resounding defeat. Just a few months on from that memorable night in Rivia, the Imperial army was in utter disarray. Aldersburg, the fortress, remained a last point of resistance. General Epdahi and what had survived of Army Group East had dug in there. This place, where Nilfgaard had triumphed grandly in the war's early days, would now bear witness to its impending defeat. It seems history, after all, has a sense of justice, or humor, or both. Though Meve had already reclaimed her realm, she refused to retire her sword just yet. For King Demavend had requested her aid in purging Edirn of the invader. How could she refuse? She owed the king a favor, firstly. Yet she also had a burning desire to settle the score with Epdahi.
I spoke with Demavend's envoy. King's got Aldersburg surrounded, waiting on you to attack.
Splendid. I truly hate to miss it. Tell the troops to prepare. Gear, spirit, and bloodlust.
Actually, I think they'd rather hear it from you. Just don't sense much excitement among your lads when I'm giving them orders.
Forgive me. I'm afraid I forget.
That I'm not Reynard. Perfectly normal, I dare say. Man was your right hand. Likely need a bit to grow accustomed to his absence.
I think back to that night rather often. Perhaps I made a mistake. Perhaps he didn't need to die.
Of course he didn't. He might have surrendered. Meve, don't take this the wrong way. But the bloke was a thoroughbred soldier. He knew he could die. And I can't think of a more honourable, more beautiful death.
I suppose you're right. But a dear friend's death is, well, never easy. I'd imagined a time. The war would be over. Reynard would hang up his sword, settle down, start a family.
You know damn well he'd never do that.
Why ever not?
Meve, you had to see it, surely. Reynard was in love with you. He'd never have left your court or your side of his own free will.
But he never...
Course not. Difference in status, knight's honour and all that rubbish. Might have been different now, given the last moons, but... well...
The Queen turned away. She did not wish Gascon to witness her buried emotions laid bare.
We've talked enough. We must march on to Aldersburg.